What's this film about again? Sort of happy movie. I'm just getting infected with this particular song. Oh goodness. No. This movie is very violent. This movie is very violent. Whoa. This soundtrack, this song was in there for contrast. Hold up. Okay. So, actually, it might be time to give my thoughts on Umberto Lenzi in general, because we're nearing the end of the run here. Some of you are probably rejoicing at that, and I am too, actually. It's nice to know I never have to watch another one of his films ever again. As much as I like them, I enjoy this period of my life from, say, like 2019 to now-ish, where I've been familiar with his work, although we can probably close the door on it for now, unless I feel like watching any individual title again. I wonder if that'll ever happen. I don't know, it might. It might. Here's the thing. Nightmare City is probably one of the better of these films. It is a knockoff of Dawn of the Dead, essentially, although the zombies are kind of... They're closer to a contaminated runner zombie, which we might see in 28 Days Later, many years later. I'm not saying Danny Boyle saw this film, although if he had, maybe it was in the back of his mind. Nightmare City, these presumably contaminated individuals, they pick up weapons and machine guns and they start killing all of the non-contaminated. They don't want to contaminate individuals further, though people seem to get contaminated. I'm not sure of the rules, and they're not trying to eat the people as such, although they sometimes seem to suck the blood out of the wounds. It's difficult to tell what's going on. You can essentially just interpret this as a big major farce with a ending that some people consider absolute sacrilege. It's not as classy as considered as classy as when Caligari did it, let's say. Although what we have is a kind of... God, it's so manic. I love the depiction of the contemporary kind of West European metropolis circa... This film came out in 1980, and the kind of runner zombie, the start of 28 Days Later, if you will, of that particular world. I like that idea. I like the that kind of the optimism of the later disco era, culminating in this apocalyptic event. That's fun to me. I guess you can summarize this film by a particular scene wherein they're filming this horrible, banal little music video to this terrible but also the most beautiful thing you've ever heard, jingle, It's garbage, but it's great. So eventually one of the camera crew, he notices a corpse. One of the dancers has been murdered in the corner, and he somehow no one's noticed, and he looks up and there's one of these contaminated individuals who's staring him down, and he lifts up his knife, and all the while it's almost genius editing. I say almost because it's just... it's kind of a banal horror decision at that point in time. That kind of dichotomy, although there was never enough horrific, kind of morbid content taking place amidst the kind of disco aesthetic. I always thought that was a very, very apt kind of fusion of what the purpose of that particular genre and aesthetic culture was at that time in the world, that real in-denial quality of disco. I think it makes for a more appropriate juxtaposition with violent content than, say, hippie music, because, the hippie music was an attempt to escape from, whereas the disco was a denial of. And I think that's why putting disco atop violent events is more effective than putting, say, psychic rock or, folk rock or folk music, over violent events. I don't even know why I'm talking about this.